Once upon a time, I had a discussion with somebody on the internet. Hello, welcome back to Sage and Stone Homestead. My name is Heather. This is the buck barn that my husband just built for our, I think, 8 bucks at this point. Now this number will dwindle down before we go into winter, but this is going to be their main home. Now we have a lot of mud on our homestead. It's not too bad this time of year, but come winter time when all the grass dies back, everything is very, very muddy. And so today I would really like to put down some pine pellet bedding in here just to get ahead on the mud season because I know it's going to be bad. And if you're not familiar with the pine pellets, this is what I'm talking about. I guess you can find either the ones that are specifically labeled bedding, like these ones, or you can find them that are labeled for like pellet stoves for heating your home. And in some areas, those are cheaper and they're basically the same thing. I have worn the wrong footwear for this job, but that's okay. So when I lay all of this out, it might not look like I'm getting a lot of great coverage, but that's okay. When these pine pellets soak up the moisture, they fluff up a lot. I was trying to see on here if it told you how much cubic footage that it winds up being. It doesn't, but it's quite a bit. And so as the season goes on and rain kind of seeps into this area, the bedding in here will fill out and the floor will actually build up a little bit, which is what we want. Now that that's done, I would like to start dinner, and I'm making, you guys know it as beef stroganoff. I'm making Siobhan stroganoff. And if you did not know, Siobhan is the, I guess, fancy term for goat meat. Just about everyone I follow that gardens and shows their garden on YouTube had a crappy garlic year. And I was talking a big talk this spring about how I always plant my garlic in the springtime, I don't plant it in the fall, and I always get a really great harvest. This is not that kind of a year. I think in my case, part of it is due to this soil just not being at its prime. We are trying to establish these garden beds, and it can take several years for the soil to really be optimal. Oh, these are so sad. But also, the way that I'm growing them has them quite shaded, or had them quite shaded for some of the peak development times, and so I think that really set them back. I did pop these ones out the other day. They do look halfway all right. Well, that one's not too bad. This is the one we'll cook with, I suppose. I have secretly been growing mushrooms again. The supplier that I originally was purchasing my mushroom blocks from unfortunately had to get out of the business, at least for now, and so I was hemming and hawing about which company I was going to go with to get my next batch of mushroom blocks. These are chestnut mushrooms and they're from the North Spore company, but I bought them through Epic Gardening. They're offering them through their website now, and I get to use my own coupon code, so I even got a deal on these. So if you've been looking for a supplier and you'd like a discount on some mushroom blocks so you can grow mushrooms yourself, I have my coupon code down here. You can use that at any time. These I will be able to harvest off of quite a few times. This is the first harvest. You can see the block next to that one, the little baby mushrooms coming up. Aren't they cute? I do have a whole playlist on growing mushrooms. I'll link that down below. It doesn't take a very fancy setup. This is all I'm doing for right now. If you've never made a stroganoff before, it's actually pretty easy. I like to heat up my larger pan on the stove with a little bit of oil in it. This is actually bacon fat. And then I'll add the meat, browning it for probably 10 or so minutes. And then I'll add some garlic, a little bit of ketchup, and some bone broth. the meat is going to simmer in this ketchup garlic bone broth mixture for about an hour to an hour and a half. This is going to make it super tender. And while this is simmering, I am going to cut up the onions. So I actually picked these two out of the barn where my onions are currently curing, because these two onions were ones that had started to flower. A lot of the onions are starting to really cure, and you can tell that by them really losing a lot of substance in the neck of the onion. These guys have quite a bit left. It's quite hard, especially compared to the other ones, and that is because of that flower stalk. So because the flower stalk has already pierced the bulb of the onion, these are not going to store well. So these are used first type onions, which is why they're in here. So the most time-consuming thing about stroganoff, beef stroganoff or chiffon stroganoff or lamb stroganoff, whichever one, is the simmering of the meat. It takes quite a while to get the meat nice and tender, and a good workaround for this, if you're busy, if you don't feel like heating up and steaming up the kitchen for an hour, is to use canned meat. And I didn't have any on hand, but now I do, because I've been running the canner while we were outside doing things. It's one thing that I really like about this electric canner is I don't have to babysit it. I think there was an unfortunate incident. I have had so many jars break this year. It's actually kind of crazy, and I don't really understand it. They're mostly balls. These three are fine. This one is not fine. It looks like it just has a break along the bottom, which tends to mean that it's from thermal shock. It's not impossible that it was thermal shock. I did warm the meat up to room temperature before I packed it, but that doesn't mean that the situation was still a little bit too drastic for the glass to handle. These three were fine. But good thing is, with these kinds of breaks in the glass, it's usually quite a clean break, and I can save the meat. That is a bummer though. I am so low on jars. I've probably lost 7 this year, and I think they're all quarts. Anyway, this is a great opportunity to show you how tender the meat is. Super, super soft. Oh, and lovely. Goat meat is my favorite. The meat is packed raw into the jars, and then it cooks while it pressure cans for 90 minutes. So it's pre-cooked and delicious meat. And that's good when you're trying to basically have homestead fast food. Three pieces, no pieces missing. Alrighty, it's been about 45 minutes and things have reduced down pretty well in this pot. It was simmering covered, but steam still kind of leaks out. Now this is not as big of a pot as I had originally started the process in, but I need that one in order to cook the noodles. So I might have to do this in stages as well. So I'm just adding in the chopped onions and the mushrooms. I think they'll all fit. They're gonna simmer in there for about 5 minutes. Now's the time where we thicken the sauce. I think traditional beef stroganoff calls for sour cream. I very rarely have sour cream because I like to turn it into butter. So I'm just gonna show you the thing that I do most often. I've got about a 1/3 cup of flour here. I'm gonna add it to the little bit of bone broth that I have left. I'll add the rest of this milk. Looks like it's probably about a 1/2 cup. I may add a little bit more. Okay. I cranked up the heat so it would be extra bubbly when I add in the cool liquid. I want it to come back up to a boil. And the flour in the milk should thicken it up pretty nicely. Serve over noodles. I think traditionally it's served over egg noodles, but dinner is served. Good evening, Tori. We've got to distract the girl goat because Levi's on his way in to get his trailer from around the buck barn. Come on in. Oh my goodness. flower clippings. It's good stuff, isn't it, Red? Favorite snack. The grass is always greener, am I right? Actually, it is greener on this side. It doesn't really look like it right now since I just mowed, but last fall I planted ryegrass in this pasture here, and the idea was that I would have some good fall, winter, and early spring grasses for the goats to graze on. That worked really well, but when the summer heat hit, that grass did go to seed and die back. Problem being, the grass that was here shaded out some of the summer grasses. I hoped that it would shade out a lot of the buttercup that we had, and it did that, but the summer grasses are struggling too. Thankfully, we have plenty of spaces where I didn't plant the ryegrass that are growing really well, so there's plenty to eat. Plus grass clippings. So I just panned over this entire thing, and it's hard to tell that I have been picking off of this table in the last couple of weeks to preserve onions and to put some in these bags, but I have. There's actually quite a lot that has been removed from the table, but I wanted to show you a trick that I saw with Jacques in the garden. He grows a beautiful garden in California, but he just posted an onion video and he was showing how to tell that your onions are cured, and I didn't actually know, and so that was great timing. But one of the ways you can tell is by the neck of the onion. So this is the neck of the onion here, and right about 2 inches into the neck, if you pinch here and then try to move your fingers like this, and you can't, then that means there isn't any moisture left in the neck and this onion is cured. Now, I didn't bring down my scissors here, so I need to go get them, but maybe I could even just, yeah. You probably saw me just rip off the brittle roots here and then the stem, and this onion is good for storage. Okay, here's an onion that isn't quite dry enough. So we've got the neck about 2 inches below the bulb, pinch it, and it might be hard to tell, there we go. I could feel a little bit of slippage on the inside, and with just a little bit more coaxing, it's really obvious. This one needs some more time. This is heavy. 2 bags of red onions. I don't know how much these bags hold, but I'm gonna bring these inside, maybe put them in the shed. They'll last longer in there. The goal is to get these out of this space as quick as possible, because while this is a pretty good space to cure onions, it is out in the humidity, and the humidity can breed things like mold, and I want these guys to last as long as possible. Although these particular onions will probably be pickled. I am absolutely in love with the pickled onions that I made last week. Nobody home. They're out there. Hey boys! Come here! The cautious ones will stop there. Come here. You guys are sweet. This is Hullabaloo, Clover's boy here, and then that is Elsa's little boy there, Ruckus. Ruckus is so loud. Oh, he's so cute though. Here come the friendly boys. Hi. I guess they want nothing to do with me. Can we see you in your new house? Can y'all show us your new house? I haven't seen evidence that they've been up here, although at the moment these guys are quite short. They might need a little booster. I know, you guys are such toe nibblers. It's so rude. Look. Can you get up here? Come here, jump up here. My adorable Nubians don't have names yet. I feel bad. I gotta figure it out. Now, he was disbudded, but some horn genes are just so strong. What's coming through our little skers? He's figured out how to be skittish. That's okay, we've got some sweeties. Oh, sweet boys, thank you for coming when called. I just love Ruckus's coloring Oh my gosh, that's so gorgeous. You're gorgeous, sir. Oh, you're so nosy. I love you, bear. You're too much. You are, you're too much. Actually doesn't smell too sour.
It's a month old.
This is May. Yeah.
Yeah, a month old. Wow.
13.5 gallons in the house right now. I know I have a couple gallons in the fridge, and I know I have at least 2 gallons on the front porch fridge. So I'm doing something today that I have avoided doing for at least a couple months. The oldest milk that I have seen today is from May 7th. And when I have super old milk that I need to process, what I like to do is cream separate. The cream that I get does have a little bit of sourness to it. It's cultured, and that makes the best butter, in my opinion. Now, admittedly, with literally anything on the homestead, and I think this is probably part of the design, I get kind of burned out after a little while, and I'm ready to move on to the next thing. Homestead life is very cyclical, and I'm really wanting to get into preserving the veggies, but I still have all this milk to deal with. So it was a good time to start drying up some of my girls. Right now I'm only getting about 1 gallon a day, sometimes 3/4 of a gallon, and that's great because I'm ready for a milk break, but I have to deal with the milk I already have and I've been saving up for a little while. So my big pot here fits 8 gallons to the tippy top. I usually don't try to fill it super high, so I'll probably do about 7.5 gallons at a time, and this is gonna take just a few hours. The part that takes the longest is just waiting for all this to heat up. I can't cream separate it when it's cold. I need to bring the milk up to 100 degrees. And that's the most time consuming part, is just waiting for this to heat up. But I do have my nice heavy bottomed pot here. I've got it on high. Really my favorite way to preserve our excess milk is to make cheese. And I have made cheese with older milk like this before, but what I've found is the more acidic the milk, the crumblier the cheese. And crumbly cheese just isn't one of our favorites, and it can have a really strong flavor. Wrong way. So you can pick this up and just hold it, because that is spinning really fast.
Got it on. I can't see underneath it.
Good. Okay, there we are. The milk comes out of the one that's on the bottom, and the cream comes out of the one that's on the top. It is much later now. I got just about 1 gallon's worth of cream, which was not as much as I feel like I get sometimes of the year, especially when I'm feeding a lot of alfalfa. I'll get a lot more cream, but that's okay. The task is done, and I do not have an entire fridge full of milk, which does feel good. But we're out at the evening time with my black light flashlights. It may still be a little bit too light for this to work, but I filmed the garden tour this morning. And my goodness, the amount of hornworms that some of these tomatoes have is crazy, and they're huge. They do glow with the black light, so I'm sure we'll find some and I'll show you.
Like, I haven't seen any damage
Okay.
on it. Me and Molly picked one off.
Off of which one, yours?
Mine.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm pretty sure there's some on this side.
see that? Do you see it? It's glowing blue right here.
Oh, whoa, I've got one.
Oh, you just pick off the whole leaf. You don't even have to touch it. They kind of glow blue. And they're usually on the underside of the leaf.
Yeah.
So if you kind of look like this, a lot of times you can see them. But yeah, it's smart to look near some of the damage. I pulled one off of this area this morning. Look at this massive truss. Look at that.
Wow.
Holy.
I know, I'm getting a
moly.
lot of tomatoes right now.
That's insane.
We already ate like 10 today.
Wow.
Oh, I found it.
You found it?
Right there.
That's a fatty. Huge. Oh my gosh, they're so big.
At least I looked on this side, because...
Yeah, that's a big one. There's been a bunch on this poor green stalk. Here, come here. Did you say it's like I planted them to catch the bugs?
Yeah.
That's not what I did that for.
That one's probably the smallest. Oh.
There we go, yep, got another
He's
one.
also tiny.
Yeah, I know, they actually get a lot smaller.
Hmm.
You can catch them when they're real small sometimes. And another one. Yeah, they are quite sneaky. Right here. Oh, I got a little one.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
There's a bug in there.
The chickens are going to be excited. Oh yeah, there's a beetle in there too. Hello, well it's ice cream day. I told you guys I'd bring you along when I whipped up our ice cream. We put this ice cream base together last week. It has chev cheese and some raw milk in it with some vanilla and sugar. And one of the reasons that I really like this ice cream base recipe is the fact that it is a raw milk base. I don't have to cook it up and make a custard or anything like that. It's really simple. We use our Ninja Creamy to make it into ice cream. And I will show you what it looks like. It's beautiful when it's done. Alright, so that was the first spin. And when it comes out after the first spin, it is a little bit kind of crumbly looking. So we do a second spin with a little bit of milk added in. Just make a well in the middle there. Add about a tablespoon of milk. Here we have it. Gorgeous, creamy, lovely goat's milk ice cream. Now one thing that we like to do at this point is add in a mix-in. We can add really anything that we want into here. Tonight we have some blackberries from the blackberry bush. These are the berries that we got off of one harvest. I've made a well in the center of the cup here. I'm going to drop the berries down the middle. Got the mix-in button right here. Now we have goat's milk ice cream with the addition of blackberries. A little bit softer just because of the blackberries added, but super yummy and homemade. It is harvest day, and I'm noticing that quite a few of my plants look like they haven't had water. It's supposed to be irrigation day tomorrow. I don't know if it's because it's the middle of summer and that maybe they need watered more frequently, or if maybe something's wrong with my irrigation. So we're gonna hook that up and make sure it's all working as we continue to harvest. I still have to do the cucamelons. I'm gonna do some peppers, and then we need to go to the other garden to get some blackberries and some more tomatoes. Some of the leaves of the cucamelons just look limp and sad, and they really shouldn't be looking this way in my opinion. Obviously we had some plants die over here. I don't think this is related to not having water, but then I noticed some of my armpits, specifically this plant, also looks pretty puny and sad. I did come through here earlier and actually hand water, but it does look like the irrigation is working over here. You can see the drips. Looky there. This is my cucamelon bed. And his elephant garlic have also been looking pretty sad and not producing super great, and this could easily be why. Alright, so it does look like we have dripping at this point in the line, and it does well even here, but as soon as we round this corner, something stops. Or at least slows down very severely. Can you see that? It is not moving nearly as fast as this. So something is maybe up or clogged with this emitter here. and I'd like to just replace the whole thing. I'm really not sure how to unclog from these emitters. They're like set. Whoa! There we go. I don't think it's been broken for long because we just went through that week where we had highs over 100 degrees every single day, and this plant did fine through that. That's what we got so far. We are losing a little bit of light. Levi is with the kids in the perennial garden getting the blackberries. I do want to check the lane, see what's going on down here. These cucamelons are just now starting to be productive. I see some color over here. Now, we did get some rain last night. Sometimes yellow tomatoes have a thinner skin and they can tend to crack sooner. This one had some tomato hornworm damage. I think that we've at least gotten a little bit ahead on those. See that? There's a bite taken out. Here's the spoils from the blackberry patch today. A little less than a gallon probably, would you say?
Yeah.
Can you taste this for me? This is Tater's hybrid pepper, habanero and jalapeno cross. It has been sitting out for a day, so it's a little bit wilted.
It is sweeter than I expected.
Uh-huh. Does it have a good spice? You haven't gotten any seeds.
Right, just in the meat there is a little bit of a zip.
Okay.
Do you want to try without the...
No.
It's really not that spicy at all.
You've eaten just the tip.
Yes, that's why I was offering the rest
No.
of the without seeds to you.
Some people will argue with you and say it's not the seeds that are spicy, it's the whatever holds the seeds. I forget what the name of it is.
I
The
don't remember the
ribbing.
name.
I promise you, seeds can be spicy. Maybe it's because they're in contact with that membrane. That is too much for
Too
me.
spicy?
I do not like spicy. This is nothing against Tater's pepper. I will say it looks like a banana pepper. It's definitely not. Oh my goodness. He said that if it's not as spicy as we'd like, we could put a couple match heads in the soil, and the sulfur in the match heads will increase the spiciness.
That's very interesting. I bet you that'll make a really good hot sauce
Uh-huh.
because it's not torturously hot, but there is a kick to it. Do you want to try?
No, he doesn't. Can you see Buster down here? No. You want a green bean? He dropped it.
What the heck is this?
We've got a pretty sad situation going on over here. At this point, we're just trying to get what we can out of these poor tomatoes. In the beginning of the year, they were pretty heavily infested with aphids and whiteflies, and then we had a bunch of rain and they got some disease, and then the tomato hornworms came and took over. So we're just gonna get what we can. Once these are ready to come out, I think I'm gonna reset this green stalk with green beans. There we go, not bad. I need to get inside, the mosquitoes are eating me alive. Good morning, it's actually Thursday. I didn't pick up the camera at all yesterday, but I did do quite a lot. I did get another roaster full of onions done. And these guys will be ready to can and freeze dry today. Sometimes with homesteading, you do a lot of stuff on repeat. Actually, frequently with homesteading, you do a lot of stuff on repeat. But this morning I have some bread to take care of, which this is what happens in summertime. My bread very frequently overproofs overnight, but that's okay. Having said that though, we're definitely at the time of year where there's so much going on that it's hard to figure out where to turn the camera on throughout the day, because there's a lot of things that are all very interesting in my opinion. And so I'd really love to hear what you're most interested in seeing as we hit this busy season, because that will help me narrow down when to turn the camera on, because yesterday I did so much and didn't turn the camera on one time. Yesterday, I canned up some of the cherry tomatoes whole. I made quite a lot of bourbon vanilla. Again, this needs to sit for at least 6 months before the vanilla beans are good and saturated inside the bourbon. We get to use this next year. Actually, a couple of days ago, I got some different ferments going on that I didn't turn on the camera for. These are fermented cucamelons with some dill, and I think they're ready to taste. Oop. It is bubbling over, as happens. The best. They need a little bit longer. I really like a stronger fermented flavor, but these are well on their way. Sometimes, but not always, on mornings where I am making bread and I already have the oven on, I will bake something for breakfast. And that is what's going on this morning. I'm gonna make one of my favorite breakfasts, which is a sourdough discard pumpkin scones. Might be a little bit low lighting, but if you want to take a screenshot of this is the recipe. I apologize for my handwriting. I've never had good handwriting. The batter is 2 1/3 cup flour, regular flour, I use bread flour, 1/3 cup whole wheat flour, I'm actually using einkorn here, 1/2 cup plus 2 tablespoons brown sugar, 1 tablespoon baking powder, 1 teaspoon salt, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon each of ginger and nutmeg, and 3/4 teaspoon clove. You're gonna mix these dry ingredients around before adding the wet ingredients, which is 10 tablespoons of butter or lard. I have kuni lard here. 3/4 cup of pumpkin. I actually just used one of my pint jars of pumpkin. 3/4 cup of sourdough discard. It does not have to be bubbly and active. I like to use my spatula at this point to mix everything together. It's going to be a sticky, slouchy dough, and sometimes I do have to add more flour, and I think that's because the pumpkin that I canned, and I just dropped the whole pint in here, that is a little bit more liquid than the recipe calls for. I have tried backing off on things like the lard and the sourdough starter in order to balance things out without having to add more flour, and it doesn't turn out as good. I like adding more of the pumpkin and then just adding more flour, and that's perfect. Some of you who are bakers may know and realize that a lot of the times the fat or the butter that's added to scones is hard and crumbly. Like some people even freeze it and they put it through a grater. I don't worry about that. I'm not a super big baking purist, and a lot of the things that I make turn out really good despite that. We might actually have plenty of flour in here. Alright, so my dough is a tiny bit sticky, but it's holding together quite nicely. I don't mind it being a little sticky, but I am going to add just a little bit more flour. It's the tiniest bit that we will fold in, like so. And I don't like the outside of it to be super powdery. I want the flour to work in, but the outside to be not super sticky. It's one of those things you get a feel for. So practice makes perfect. So I can feel a tackiness to the dough, but it's not sticking to my work surface. So this is good. Now I'm just gonna pat this out into a round, and I want it to be about 1 inch tall. I pull out my pizza stone and my pizza cutter. I'm gonna cut this in 8 pieces, just like a pizza. So 1 down the middle, 1 crossways, and then we'll split those 2 in half. Whoop. Sometimes it comes with you. That's okay, I'll move that one over. This is what it looks like. And I can pick up each piece, which is going to be a little bit sticky, and move them over to the pizza stone, giving them a little bit of space so they can rise. They're not going to rise a lot, but they will puff up. I wouldn't worry too much if you've got some skinny ones and some fat ones. I think as far as cook time goes, it matters how thick they all are. It doesn't necessarily matter how wide they all are. Now they're all set. I know my recipe card said something like 12 to 14 minutes. With my oven, I have to let these go for 19 minutes, so play around with the timing too. 400 degrees. Now while this is going, we'll get the icing together. I just mixed together powdered sugar with some milk. I don't really have measurements for this because it's kind of just more of a procedure and a preference for how much you want, but I have about this much powdered sugar. You can overdo this pretty easily, so a little goes a long way. But the consistency that I like is drizzly, but not super, super wet to where it just all falls off the side of the scone. I'd like it to kind of stay on top. I'm adding a little bit of this farm dust to the caramelizing onions. I'm actually going to add quite a lot because this is quite a lot of onions. This started out with them all the way to the tippy top. And I have a success story for you guys. Y'all have been trying to help me with the cutting onions and crying situation that we all know. I've gotten a lot of really great suggestions from you guys. And yesterday I actually combined 3 of your suggestions all at once. I don't know which one worked, but one of them did. I managed to cut this entire roaster full of onions without one tear. Now I will say I did feel a little bit of stinging in my eyes, but it wasn't like disruptive. I had no running of any sort. So I actually placed all the onions on top of my oven so that I could use the exhaust fan for my stove. I turned that on to about a medium, and I actually lit some candles beside of me, and I was chewing on a toothpick. Those were all suggestions from you guys. The theory with the exhaust fan is that the fumes, the gases from the onions will just be whisked away up above your head. And same thing with the candles. The theory is the candles will burn up some of those fumes. And I'm not exactly sure what would work with the toothpick, but I did that anyway, and I had no tears, so thank you. That is what I'm going to be doing on repeat until we get all of our onions processed. Here are the scones. That's been off this whole time, hasn't it? Sorry. But here they are, and I like to see a little tiny bit of browning just on the tips and the edges of the scones. That's how I know the inside is definitely cooked. Didn't mean to turn that off because I need to put my bread in. The scones bake at 400 and my bread is at 375, so I just need to reset that. Gorgeous, huh? Sometimes we call these triangle donuts. It's basically what they are. It's lovely, cakey, bready, yummy texture. Fluffy and moist, a lot like a cake donut from Dunkin'. These are really good warm, but they're also not half bad when they cool down to room temp. And by the time my scones are done, my bread has risen quite well. Score the top. And then we'll let these bake while I eat breakfast. The bread has nice fluffy tops this morning. I'm running low on butter. I do have some in the freezer, and I do need to blitz up the cream that we separated. I may or may not actually get to that today. It's one of those things that is on my list of things to do. I also want to move my breeder goats out of their breeding pens and back into their regular pens for the summer. I want to get some hot sauce fermenting. I haven't done that yet. Just never-ending list of things, but it's all really enjoyable, that's for sure. So it's a very typical morning. It's 9:30 and I'm just now getting outside. So once upon a time, I had a discussion with somebody on the internet. And that discussion was about humans eating before their animals got a chance to eat. And this person was saying that you shouldn't have animals if you're gonna eat before them. So their theory was you should wake up before dawn, get all of your animals taken care of, and then come inside and take care of yourself. And I don't think that that's, at least for me, that's not sustainable. I need to be able to take care of myself and my children and know that I'm good to be outside for 2 hours. That's how long my morning chores take me. Now, I could zip through them in probably 45 minutes if I was really, really rushing, but I like to take my time and get my hands on my animals and spend time with them and just sit and enjoy the life that I have. That might be where someone else's comfort level is, but really, to impress that like standard on other people is a lot, and I think that maybe we shouldn't do that. As long as the animals are taken care of and they have enough food, water, etc. until the next time the farmer, the homesteader comes out to greet them, that is absolutely fine. So yeah, we've baked our bread, had our breakfast, and the rabbits are fine, although I do need to top them off. Here's the onion table. This is where I pulled all the onions from that are in the roaster. And I plan to come down later and get the rest of the reds. I want to pickle these. The pickled red onions are absolutely making up for the fact that the birds ate my gherkin plants in the beginning of the year. We made burgers the other day and I put the pickled onions on it, and delicious, like incredible. Could easily take the place of regular pickles on my sandwiches and things. Do you guys hear the pigs? They want to be fed. Let's get them fed. It's like the pigs heard my chat about breakfast and they do not approve. Hey girl, hey! Oh, you girls are getting so big. Look at Shake and Bake next to Chloe. Hey! This is a black oil sunflower, because I used to feed black oil sunflower seeds, and I'm sure that this is from the goats wasting a little bit of it. Hello, my sweets. It's your turn. Goats in the chicken run, this is how I feed the chickens. I feed them on the outside of this 2" by 4" wire, and the chickens can get their heads through, but the goats can't. Sometimes they can kind of stick their tongue through and get a little bit of the chicken food, but that's not enough to hurt them. Now I've got a couple of broody chickens outside, and I've picked some of the eggs from underneath one of the chickens that I don't think, oh, this one is a red light, that's not gonna work. There we go. I don't think any of these are fertile. Sometimes you can tell just by how shiny the egg is, because as the chicken sits on them and turns them over and moves them around in her feathers, it's like it polishes the outside of them. I think I'm gonna shut the shades in here so we can kind of see what's going on. There's nothing in that one. See, that one's good. This is one I was wondering a little bit about. What we would see if there was a chick forming in this egg is we would see basically a spider web of veins on the inside of the egg. And this one does look empty.
Are you checking Bravery's eggs?
Yeah, so she had some more underneath of her. We need to mark them, the ones that she has. I'm just making sure the ones that I got were not fertile. Now the color of this eggshell makes it a little bit harder to tell. I do not think that this one is fertile though. Or at least it didn't have a chick on the inside. That one's good. And then this one looks good. So we didn't accidentally grab any eggs with chickies in them, which is great. But yeah, I'm gonna get going so I can get the rest of my chores done before it gets too hot out here. Hope you guys are staying cool or warm if you are in the southern hemisphere. I'll see you guys again soon. Oh, you're such a good boy. Yes, I should get you guys a treat.